All right, I'm going to call the meeting to order. Due to the governor's statewide disaster declaration relating to the COVID-19 pandemic and current public health guidelines for social distancing, I've determined that it's not prudent for the members of the village board or staff to convene in person for tonight's meeting. Therefore, the members of the village board are attending this meeting by video conference. Those same conditions require barring access to the public for in-person attendance. In light of those limitations, the public is invited to attend and listen to the meeting through the Zoom platform or by phone as indicated on the meeting agenda. To comply with the Open Meetings Act requirements for virtual meetings, tonight's meeting is being recorded. If I could ask Village Clerk Schmidtke to take a roll call and make sure that everyone can be heard.
Trustee Borowski, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm here. Good evening.
Good evening. Trustee Kritzmeyer.
Hi there. Yes, I can hear you. How are you?
I can hear you. Thank you. Trustee Michaud.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes. Trustee
you.
O'Connor.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you. Trustee O'Reilly.
Yes, I can hear you.
And I can hear you. Thank you. Trustee Tanucci.
Yes, I can see and hear everybody.
Thank you.
All right, all present and accounted for. If I could ask us to say a pledge of allegiance, that would be great. Pledge of allegiance.
To the flag.
Pledge allegiance
United States of America,
America.
To the
to the
republic
republic,
For
which
which it stands,
one
nation,
nation, under
under
God,
God,
indivisible, with liberty
liberty,
and
and
justice
justice
for
for
all.
for all.
All right, I would like to begin the meeting with just a brief moment of silence for Maria Rodriguez, who passed away after battling cancer last week. As you know, Maria was our village president in 05 through 13, and prior to that was village clerk. I'm sorry, a trustee and village clerk, and did many other things for the village. All right, thank you, everyone. The next item, really the first item on the agenda is the homeowners associations that may be here tonight. The first one I have on the list is Bennington, Alan Noam. Are you here by any chance? All right, I know,
Fill in for him.
pardon?
I can fill in for him. He's my
Oh.
neighbor.
Oh, please do then. Yes.
Okay, so we're here.
Okay, anything that you want to bring forward to the board?
No, we're good.
Okay, thank you for filling in.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that. All right. Jane Premack is here from Long Grove Knolls. Jane, do you have anything to bring to the board?
I sent out a text to find out if there were issues, and of course there were, but nothing that affects the board. I put in a call to Greg Oakes. The biggest complaint is the lack of stoppage on Long Grove Road. And especially since the kids are in school now, they're afraid of their safety, but I'll talk to Greg about that. Actually, everything they complained about, I already addressed when my daughter was in that age too. So I kind of just told them they need to be vigilant and go after the bus companies and stuff. So other than that, everything's fine. Our party house is in a long-term rental.
That's great news, by the way.
2 years, they love it here. They're a blended family, and I'm giving them bread weekly with the rest of the neighborhood, and I'm hoping that they will renew a lease. That would be marvelous.
Well,
So
thank you for leading the HOA and being the spokesperson. We greatly appreciate it.
no problem.
All right, if there's nothing else, I'm going to keep us moving. We have public comment at the beginning of the agenda. Is there anyone that wants to make a public comment? All right, I take that as no. So I'm going to turn this next item over to Village Manager Jackson. This is about approving a bank change to Northwick Bank and Trust Company, so which is a Wintrust company. Greg, you want to take this away? You may want to unmute yourself.
Yeah. Upon my arrival in discussions with Trustee Kritzmeyer, our accounting firm, as well as the Director of Operations, we found that we had an excessive amount of bank accounts as a single village entity. Some of, in particular, our main banking account was sitting with a credit union rather than an FDIC insured bank. And we did some research into the possibility of securing another bank and consolidating some functions with the purpose of gaining greater security, greater services, being able to do it at a lower cost. And again, it being able to, we cannot do electronic deposits right now. Every time there's a deposit, we have to go physically to the bank. So we were looking at opportunities to turn around and consolidate these functions, get the benefits of being with an FDIC insured bank. Denise did the legwork on this. She started with BMO and Chase and Wintrust, and we interviewed a number of banks. And after looking at the performa and the services that could be offered, our ultimate selection for this consolidation of the general fund and the MFT checking savings, TIF savings, as well as our premier checking, is to go with Wintrust. And we're just presenting this to the board. It's an operational function, but we want to make sure that the board has no concerns or perhaps wants us to look somewhere else.
So I have a question. First of all, I do support this, but my question and concern is, you mentioned FDIC insurance. Looking at the dollar amounts that were written in your report and bouncing that against FDIC insurance limits, we are many, many, many multiples over the FDIC limit, which means more than the majority of our money will be uninsured. Is that a concern?
It is not. What they're able to do for us is, because Wintrust has separate banks, for a lack of a better phrase.
The word is charter.
Charters.
And
Okay.
that's what each charter is, FDIC separate.
So we've separate, so the money will be allocated in over that 250, I think it's $250,000 on the FDIC
Right.
insurance.
Right.
It'll be allocated out, so it's in all these, as Trustee Kritzmeyer indicated, to these different charters, so we're protected across the board.
So I know Wintrust has many multiple banks under the Wintrust umbrella. So are we essentially parsing the money out among these various Wintrust banks? Or is there some other way of doing it?
Don't they have a special account called a Max Save account or something like that, where they do it for you and they manage the whole thing?
That is correct.
They will do it for us.
But the bottom line is it's entirely insured, right?
Yes, sir.
We have nothing exposed. Okay, that was my main concern. Thank you.
And to be clear, in the past, it wasn't FDIC insurance. We were paying separately for insurance. So part of the cost savings is outside of that, is reducing some of that.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, for some reason, the credit unions have a different insurance that are not covered by the FDIC.
Right,
And,
it's NCUA insurance.
That's correct.
Okay. All right, as long as we're covered, that's the main thing. Sounds like a good way to go.
Our intent is, if the board doesn't have any objection, is to begin moving forward with this immediately. We've already started the initial legwork on signature cards, who would be authorized, so that way we could expedite the process.
Anyone have questions on this? Chris, you're off mute. Do you have anything?
No, I think it's a great idea.
Okay, so
It's
any,
also,
go ahead.
I just want to say Denise and Greg have done an outstanding job on all of this, and all of it has been, not just by themselves, but working a lot with the accountant and other people to say, how do we get the maximum safety and also the maximum use of technology? So we're not doing things like taking time to deposit paper checks, for one example. So they did a great job.
Does anybody have any concerns that they want to raise now? If not, I think we're looking for a motion to approve naming Northbrook Bank and Trust Company North America Wind Trust as an approved depository financial institution for the Village of Long Grove.
So moved.
Well,
Okay, so that was moved by trustee O'Connor. Would that be seconded by trustee Tanucci?
yes, I'll second.
And that would be a roll call, please. Village Clerk Schmidtke.
Trustee O'Connor,
Aye.
trustee Tanucci,
Aye.
trustee Borowski,
Aye.
trustee Kritzmeyer,
Aye.
trustee Michaud,
Aye.
and trustee O'Reilly.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Thank you very much. The next item is discussion regarding direction as far as sending payment option notices to the Herons Landing SSA distribution list. So Denise or Ann, do you want to take us through that?
Sure. You've got the memo that I provided for the last meeting, I believe, or a different meeting. We're proceeding with that. I contacted the homeowners association and other folks about 3 weeks ago, knowing that we wouldn't be able to actually take an action until tonight. So it's saying informally, we're still looking at this. Here's what we think the prepayment opportunity would be. And by way of background, you saw in the memo, people were allowed to prepay when these were first issued. This is the first opportunity that they could make that choice again, because now we're refinancing and the bonds are callable. They've indicated they think 7 homeowners might be interested, which would still make it probably fine. The attractiveness of refinancing the bonds would still remain, good and attractive. So we do not have the actual communication that we'll be sending, but it'll be very much like email and a memorandum just saying, hey, you have this opportunity. You would need to be able to have the money in hand by the end of November. And here are the trade-offs. You would be prepaying some of the principal now versus paying a little bit of over the next 20 years or the life of your stay in the house.
Can I ask a question? Oh, sorry about that. So the bonds were what, for 30 years? And now they're 10 years
Yes.
into them? And so
Yes.
they would refinance for 20 years, right? So that would be,
Yes.
okay, at a lower interest rate, which would save the average homeowner potentially between almost $8,000 or $9,000, 82 to 87.98 or something like that, right?
Yeah, the prepayment amount is known. It's 25,000 and something. The interest rate will only be known when we do the refinancing. So
Okay.
market conditions on that date. But
So we
the
would-
estimate now, prevailing rates in the market are below 3%. These are between 5 and 6. And so that's the 82 to 88 estimate.
And in order to get this to happen, you have to have, what you just said, 7 homeowners approve it, or?
No, we don't need any. It's a courtesy opportunity to the homeowners.
Okay,
So it can be 0 to something. If 50 out of 51 wanted to prepay, then it would make no sense to refinance in the open market. So
okay. So you're looking for the notice is going to ask if you want to prepay, or is that what it is?
Yep.
Okay,
And give them the schedule and the amounts and so forth, just the logistics of what they would need to do in order to make that choice.
got it. All right, and then go ahead, I'm sorry, somebody had a question?
Oh, and then we've gotten some documents, and we have a meeting tomorrow that will include Greg, Denise, Vic, and our financial advisor from Spear, as well as underwriter and bond counsel to go over all the documents.
All right, the bottom line is we would be saving the homeowners money, which is a good
Yep.
thing, so, okay.
Yep, we would be saving the homeowners money. To us, it's net neutral other than staff time, but it's a good thing to do.
Right. Any questions from the board?
Was it unusual that Spear chatted with the homeowners?
It wasn't
wasn't.
Spirit. It was, I'm sorry, trustee. It wasn't
No,
Spirit.
go ahead.
It wasn't Spirit that chatted with the homeowners. It was Bernardi.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see.
And yes, it's unusual, and that's why
It
we
is.
wanted to kind of start the conversation with Spear, which is usual.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Okay. So little cart before the horse, I guess.
Yep.
Okay. But it still works out for the residents. Why not?
We feel good about the team and the process by now.
Sure, sure. Yeah, I think I had thought that maybe they had already looked into it. But I never really went beyond that. So I'm glad. I'm happy. It's a good thing for them.
So no action needs to be taken tonight. We just need to know, we need to give village staff direction, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, I'll just go around the horn really quick. Chris, are you good with this?
Yeah, great idea.
Kent, you good with it?
Yeah, let's move forward.
Bobby, you good with it?
Yes.
Ann, you're good with it, of course, right? All right, Jenny?
Yep.
And Rita, you said you were, but just
Yes.
checking, right?
Yes.
So staff, village staff, I think you have your direction.
Yep. Thank you to trustee Kritzmeyer for her leadership on this as well.
All right, excellent.
And out of curiosity, if I was a homeowner who originally paid in advance, let's say I was for some reason still involved in this, it's all the same to them, right? I mean, the bottom line is still the same with the exception of the interest that people have paid.
Yeah,
mean-
it's the same principle.
Yeah,
Go
okay.
ahead.
Okay,
I
I got
was
it.
around 10 years ago. Go ahead, Vic.
Right.
Yeah, I was gonna say that the only difference is that at the time we were doing the original issuance, some of the estimates as to what the interest rates would be and some of the cost savings that were projected are different than what they are now with
Sure.
the prospect of lower
Sure.
interest rates on the refi.
Yeah,
But they got the same water, they got the same cost per unit of service, and it's just a matter of how much interest they avoided.
yeah, I got it. Thank you.
All right. Let's go ahead and move on to the next item on the agenda, which is consideration approval of the 2022 board meeting dates. If no one has any objections, I would look for a motion to approve them.
So moved.
Moved by trustee Tanucci, seconded by trustee Michaud. Roll call, please.
Trustee Tanucci,
Aye.
trustee Michaud,
Aye.
trustee Borowski,
Aye.
trustee Kritzmeyer,
Aye.
trustee O'Connor,
Hi.
and trustee O'Reilly.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Thank you, everyone. The next item on the agenda is consideration of approval of a raffle application for Gigi's Playhouse. It'll be conducted at the Buffalo Creek Brewery on October 30th. Gigi's Playhouse is a 501c charity whose mission is stated to change the way the world views Down syndrome and to send a global message of acceptance for all. Any discussion?
I
If
think
not-
we've asked this question before. Have we ever collected that fee? Why don't we just, or is this just a process for making sure they've got bonds and insurance?
Well, I would think as long as we vet the organization to make sure they're a legit organization. I mean, as far as a nonprofit, I think the nonprofits who step forward to do a fundraiser to benefit, if they're a legitimate nonprofit, my recommendation to the board would be give due consideration to waiving the fee. But I think we still need it there so we can do it on a case-by-case basis.
But we still need to approve the raffle application, so we still have to actually formally approve it. But yeah, on the fee, you know what I mean? So we still have this process. It's just, maybe it drives by having it waived, it actually drives somebody submitting it. I don't know, so.
I did notice the application says that they're not requesting a waiver of the fee, although I assume that we could waive it if we wanted to, right?
That's correct. I'm sorry, the applicant is requesting a waiving of the fee, not requesting a waiving of the bond.
I'm looking at it right now. Will you be seeking a waiver of the $25 license fee? They check no.
Will you be seeking a waiver of, yeah, it says no, but
Oh, I stand corrected. Sorry.
okay, well, anyone have any
But the village
objections
board
waiving
does
it?
still have the ability to waive that fee independent of their
Yep.
request.
Anyone want to make a motion?
So moved.
Moved by trustee O'Connor,
Second.
seconded by trustee
Second.
Kritzmeyer. Roll call, please. Michelle?
Trustee O'Connor,
Aye.
trustee Kritzmeyer,
Aye.
trustee Borowski,
Just by way of clarification, are we waiving the fee or not?
We are waiving the fee and approving it.
Very good. Aye.
trustee Michaud,
Aye.
trustee O'Reilly,
Yes.
and trustee Tanucci.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Thank you. Moving along, we have the village president and trustee reports. I do not have a report tonight. I will move down the line here, and next one on the list was trustee Borowski. Do you have a report for us tonight?
I shall yield back my time.
All right, thank you. Trustee Kritzmeyer, do you have a report for us tonight?
My topics are covered already.
All right, thank you. Trustee O'Connor?
Just a report from Barb Clip on, we're moving much quicker than I had anticipated. I need to send her the 10 to 15 minute heads up because she's in class, and she
Okay,
has,
we'll come back to you. We'll
come back to
We'll come
me.
back to you. Okay,
Maybe about the time we look at the minutes.
all right. Thank you for that. Trustee O'Reilly,
I do not.
thank you. Trustee Michaud?
I just wanted to say we're moving forward with the Stevenson field trip next Wednesday. Ann and I met with Jen Marletti today. We're nailing down the details. The kids are excited. We've got 57 students that are gearing up to come. We did take your recommendation, Chris, and we are routing the kids through the buses through several neighborhoods on their way into town. And Ann and I are working out the path through town, and we've lined up some people to come and speak to the kids. So I think it's going to be a great event.
Sounds good.
End of report.
All right, thank you. Trustee Tanucci?
Yes, I actually do have something. So I attended a webinar put on by the Illinois Department of Natural Resources to talk about Lake Michigan water allocations. So my notes from this webinar are in the board packet. I just wanted to highlight a couple of items.
First, I want to thank you for attending because I was not able.
You're welcome. Yeah, it was interesting. Interesting stuff. So you're welcome. So it turns out the state of Illinois as a whole can draw up to 24,000 gallons per second of water from Lake Michigan. And then the Department of Natural Resources is charged with allocating that 24,000 gallons per second among the communities that get Lake Michigan water. So this is the year that those allocations are reviewed. It's done about every 10 years. It's actually been 13 years since the last time. And we do have an allocation in Long Grove. I'll get to that in a moment. But basically these allocations are not necessarily hard limits. You're allowed to exceed your allocation by up to 15% in any given year and up to 5% average over a 5-year period. And if you do find yourself regularly exceeding allocations, they made a large emphasis and said several times, it's not punitive. They don't go after you. They invite you to justify your overage. Maybe you had a new development, maybe a new subdivision, the town expanded, whatever. You apply for higher allocations, and it's not necessarily automatic, but it looks like it's pretty much, you justify what you need and they give it to you as long as it's reasonable. So also I wanted to mention another thing. This is something that Jeff sent me today. So Jeff, thank you for that. This is good information. Our current allocation in Long Grove is 0.237 million gallons per day. So 237,000 gallons per day. And that's going to go up from 237,000 to 920,000 by the year 2030. So how much are we drawing today from Lake Michigan out of that allocation? 0. But if you look at our deep well at Sunset Grove, it's currently, or as of last year, we were pulling about equivalent amount to about 9% of our allocation. So if at some point we were to replace that deep well at Sunset Grove with Lake Michigan water, if the usage stayed the same as last year, that would represent, about 9 or 10% of our Lake Michigan allocation, which means we have plenty to spare. And as I said, that allocation is going up between now and 2050 on an annual basis, or sorry, 2030 on an annual basis. And as of now, it's pegged to stay the same up to 2050.
Hey, Kent.
Yeah.
Two things, right? So if we decided to, I don't know, subcontract with Buffalo Grove for water, for lack of a better way of putting it, right? Would that impact our allocation? And second part of that question is we're just discussing the refinancing of the Heron's Landing SSA bonds. And that is Lake Michigan water. Does that impact our allocation?
So this is part of what Jeff explained to me today, and Jeff, you can jump in if you'd like. But Jeff's understanding is the water going to Heron's Landing through Vernon Hills does not affect our allocation. In other words, it's not taken away from our allocation. It's not charged against our allocation. As far as how we would handle Buffalo Grove, it's unknown at this point whether we would transfer our allocation to Buffalo Grove or how exactly that would happen. We would have to figure it out.
Let me jump in on that issue. The allocation is based on the ultimate consumer community, not the system that provides it. As a result, for now, the Heron's Landing is actually, or at least should be, allocated to Long Grove's allocation because it's our system and it's our community. Now, Lake County does have a system that serves both unincorporated and incorporated as a retailer, but our intergovernmental agreement with Lake County says that until the SSA bonds are fully paid off, that is to be a Long Grove system and a Long Grove allocation. That was something that I want to say about 8 years ago, we thought we had, at least I thought we had squared away with IDNR. If they're showing different information now, we need to correct that because Lake County had been filing the village's allocation report on behalf of the village up to that point. And I don't know where it might have gone off the tracks if it has. Regarding Buffalo Grove, same thing. If they provide us water through our system, that's going to be us, even though it's water that they've ultimately delivered to us. So that's how that plays out. And it's actually quite important for us to make sure we're using some of our allocation because there is a potential use it or lose it element to the allocations that IDNR makes. It's probably been a little less critical over the last 15 years because the conservation efforts that have been implemented through the Illinois Plumbing Code and the like have actually reduced the amount of overall use of water. But I will say back in the early 2000s, there was a lot of dogfighting over making sure different communities kept their allocation. So I think we want to be a little covetous of the water that's coming into our community right now, and we may need to follow up to make sure that the reports that are going into IDNR regarding Heron's Landing actually show it as a Long Grove utilization of Lake Michigan water, not a Lake County utilization.
That's something you and I should review, Jeff.
Yeah, and while Vic was talking, I'm thinking sorting out and making sure the same thing is true for Indian Creek Club.
Well, but we're not on Lake Michigan water. We're on a
Indian
well.
Creek Club, yeah, Indian
That's
Creek
not
Club
Lake
will actually
Michigan,
be a
that's
different
the
No,
issue.
county
it's a-
somewhere
it's-
else.
It's a county deep well system. Yeah.
Oh, they're out. Oh.
Yeah. I know all about that. I live here.
Yeah, the county has a mix of both Lake Michigan and groundwater sources.
So just to check understanding, water going to Heron's Landing through Vernon Hills should count against the Long Grove allocation. And
Right.
water that may someday flow through Buffalo Grove to what is now being served by the Sunset Grove deep well will also count against the Long Grove allocation. Is
Right,
that correct?
now, that's correct, that's how it should be. And then the footnote to Heron's Landing is that our intergovernmental agreement with Lake County says that once our bonds are paid off, we're going to transfer for $1 or $10, whatever it is, that entire system. And Lake County will have full responsibility for it. And with that transfer, they will then start taking that portion of the allocation under its allocation, not the village allocation. But we're years off from that.
Okay. Do we know how much water Heron's Landing is using?
That's something we should easily be able to find out.
There's an allocation report. Again, that's the point that I think we need to confirm, that whether somewhere, there's been a number of changes at the Public Works Department in Lake County over the last 10 years. I think they've gone through 3 directors, and maybe somewhere along the way, the reporting on the Lake Michigan water allocations went awry, and that can easily be corrected.
Okay. Because as I mentioned, the Sunset Grove well is using an equivalent to about 10% of our allocation. Heron's Landing is what, about 100 residences, give or take? I wonder how much they're using and what's left after you look at both of those combined.
And I think one of the things that, going back to when we got that original allocation, it is scheduled to step up over time, as it was anticipated that the village would have an expanded water system over time. My expectation is we're probably, with Heron's Landing, currently, we're probably still well under what's been allocated to us for this year. And even if we were to transfer the downtown water system, we wouldn't be too much in excess of what our allocation is, if any, or if over it at all.
Yeah. And you're right, our allocation is increasing a little bit per year over the next 9 years. Right now it's 0.237 million gallons a day. It'll be going up to 0.92 million gallons per day gradually over the next 9 years. So yeah, it'll it'll more than triple. It'll go up about 3.5 times.
Hey, Jeff, what does that mean? Like 920,000 gallons a day? Like how many houses would that even feed?
I was doing a little math here, say the 100 houses in Heron's Landing, obviously the metering of the water would truth this out, but that's less than 10,000 gallons a day. So a million gallons a day, or 0.92 million gallons a day, that would, in my mind, comfortably serve 8,000 homes in Long Grove. So, but that's the houses, the commercial component, those are the big users.
Thank you.
Any other questions or any other comments, Kent?
No, I have nothing else. Thank you.
All right, is that in the report?
That's it.
Okay, great. Rita, I see Barbara joined. Do you want to introduce Barbara as part of your report? You're muted, by the way, too. You're both muted. Rita, you're muted.
I'm not, I'm good. I'm here.
Okay, Barbara's here. Did you want to introduce Barbara?
Sure.
Set this
Sure.
up? Yep.
I'll say she needs no introduction. We've been here before. And Barb, go ahead. She's got a class currently going on, so she stepped out for a moment to chat.
Well, the first stakeholders meeting is next week, right? So I
Yes.
think Barbara wants to talk about that. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, I hope you guys, can you hear me okay?
We
Yes.
can, yep.
I'm holding my phone. I'm sorry about the bad setup, but it's what I could get in the middle of teaching. So yeah, I've been wanting to just update you all on what's going on, and I keep waiting because I know one more piece of information is coming or something, and then pretty soon it's been several months. So I decided to just put an end to that and just get one to you. And of course, since I sent it already, more things have happened. So Rita, did they have the memo I prepared?
You know what? 10 minutes ago, I sent it to Greg. And even if he
Okay.
sent it out to the trustees, they will not have had a chance to read it.
Okay, well, there's a lot more detail there for you. Just kind of summing up what we've been working on and what's going on for you. So when last we spoke, we had just finished our strategic planning. And one of the things we wanted to spend these last 2 quarters of the year on was showcasing what's at stake. letting people know why this is such a special place. So we started out with the tours, and my group was the lead organization. We spent a lot of our time organizing the corridor tours along with the little progressive dinners. Tony Dean hosted one, and Rita was dessert. And then up in the northern end of the tour, George and Vicki Ranney hosted, and a member of Prairie Crossing hosted dessert that day. And they were very well received. Comments I got, Senator Johnson said, I had no idea what was here. I mean, that kind of stuff. We had a lot of county board members come, and several people couldn't go. And we've been conducting private tours since that time to not only show them what's at stake, but to also show them where we think bike trail connections could be, particularly up in the northern end here. And that's been a really interesting starting point for conversations with folks. We also are, and the Sierra Club and Open Lands took the lead on this project, and that was a juried photo contest, and that's been going on for the last 2 months. We will have the rights to use the photographs of every entry, so we can really showcase some of the spectacular wildlife, flora, and fauna. As you know, the corridor task force is starting November 3rd. I found out today that Lake County Forest Preserve, I don't know if this is an internal or a public meeting, I didn't ask, but they're holding a meeting shortly to identify particular parcels that they'd like to acquire in the corridor. So that's interesting to me. They don't feel they have the money really to take care of any of them. So that's obviously a discussion we're going to have. And I put in the memo to you, Senator Bush is hoping to be president of this. When we first meet next on November 3rd, we will elect the chair of the task force, or president, and she's hoping to run it already. Her staff have been putting it together, and the Senate attorneys are the ones that have been working on this with her. And I asked her, I said, Senator McConkey was obviously the one who drafted this joint resolution in the first place. And it was always his vision that our goal should be mostly to identify the parcels that are most precious, and then get IDNR, get IDOT to turn them over to IDNR. And that was it. And of course, there's a few studies that are required as part of the resolution. And I asked Senator Bush if she thought it was just going to be that, just getting IDOT to turn them over to IDNR. And then he envisioned, excuse me, that there would be a subsequent working group task force, I don't know what form it would take, that would then decide on the implementation. What is it going to look like? What happens where? Who's going to maintain it? Who's going to own it? All those little details. So I asked her if she thought we were going to get, there seems to be broad consensus. Even the mayor of Grays Lake agrees on protection, generally speaking, of the corridor. So I said, can we get a little further then in our 4 meetings? And that really wasn't clear to me. I also asked if there was going to be any public participation as part of the task force, if they were going to be allowed to give public comments and so on. And she said probably, but I don't think they've really given much thought to that. So I guess that's something else we'll decide at the first meeting. And also, one thing that's going to have to happen is we're going to have to talk to labor. Back when they first stopped Route 53, we had a meeting with Christian Mitchell, who's, but I don't think his title is like deputy governor. Excuse me, but he's in charge of infrastructure. And he said to us, you guys need a labor strategy, because labor is going to oppose this when it goes to the General Assembly. I think you all know, once the task force makes the recommendation back to the General Assembly, if there is a recommendation to protect any land or any parcels of the IDOT owned land and transfer them to IDNR, that would take a General Assembly vote. So he feels we need a labor strategy. So we're working on that as well. The other thing I put in there, and this really is a threat to not only the northern end of the corridor, but it's a threat to the 53 part down in your end. The Lake County Municipal League apparently is about to take a vote to resurrect the Central Lake County Thruway, is what they called it back in 2009. I gave you a hyperlink in the document I sent to the 2009 consensus plan back then. The threat that would be to you all, and I'll just say that I think most of you know, if they built the 120 bypass, which is basically what this is, that will always put pressure to build the missing link in the whole system for the tollway. Then would be the Route 53 corridor to connect 94 with 355. right? So that's the threat it would pose there. Obviously, for environmentalists, we have other things. I mean, it would cut through Almond Marsh, the Liberty Prairie Reserve, and into Volo Bog. And then it would hook up with another project they have that would go right through the glacial caves of Hackmatack National Wildlife Refuge. So if you wanted to create a road that would be the most environmentally damaging you could imagine around here, these would be it, these three. So we obviously don't want that to happen. And if you want the history, stop me if I'm saying too much. Back in 2009, when they did this consensus plan, all the towns, and by all the towns, it was even Waukegan and Wakanda and Gurnee, even towns that weren't directly in this corridor area, voted almost unanimously on all their village boards. And the county then voted to pursue a Tiger grant. I forgot the amount, but it's in the information. And then the county was going to match the Tiger grant, but the grant never materialized. So that was the end of it back in 2009. So as I understand it, the mayor of Volo in particular is spearheading a revival of the project. Obviously, we oppose it. We've expressed our concerns to the county. And at the very least, they were going to go right to phase 1 engineering. And we said, as a plan B, if we can't just outright stop it, that they should do an environmental impact statement first before they go to phase 1 engineering and allow for public input and environmental assessment. So that's one threat that's going on. We're working on that on many levels. And lastly, we have some events coming up. If some of you I know follow our newsletter, but the Green Corridor Coalition, which is the coalition of groups working on Route 53 corridor, are having our open space celebration November 7th from 12 to 4. And you can also go to the Green Corridor Coalition page on Facebook, but there's a link there for you. And our organization is having a fundraiser at Charlie's in Grays Lake on November 4th. So, and I gave an update of where we stand with the grant too, because Rita asked for some detailed information there. That was probably too much information. Sorry.
Then
No, it's great.
that's in what you sent me that I sent to Greg that he'll send to the trustees.
I just sent it out to the trustees, so they should have it in their inbox.
Okay.
Thank you for that information, Barbara.
Happy to. And there's more detail in the, there's some detail about who was appointed to the task force, but I think you probably all know most of it. So.
Well, I think it's a feather in everybody's cap that Melinda Bush and Sandy Hart are part of it, and our advocates. So that's a big deal.
Agreed.
Well, and I also, I know Mara Altenberg on her campaign for reelection is opposing Route 53 as well. So
Yeah,
she's part of the task force too.
Yeah, she's there for stormwater management purposes.
Correct.
So
we'll have 3 county board members on there, all that are all supportive of, in general, of protection. So.
All right, Barbara, I know you're at school. I appreciate you joining and giving us a very concise update and thorough, by the way, too. Rita, did you have anything else for your report?
nope,
Thank you.
keep Sunday the 7th open and meet us at, it's Heron Creek, right, Barb?
Correct. Yeah, Heron Creek Forest Preserve. Correct.
All right.
Free food, music, crafts for children, you know.
It's a celebration. The only other limited access highway project that was ever stopped in the United States was the Prairie Parkway, also known as the Hastert Highway, because it was in Denny Hastert's district back in the day. And they would have these open space celebrations every year to celebrate one more year of protecting this special place. So, so we picked it up, and this is our 4th annual celebration. So Senator Bush is speaking, I'm speaking, Sandy Hart is speaking, a young organizer who just graduated, who's from Buffalo Grove, is speaking. I think that's it. And then there'll be all the things that Rita said, all the events and crafting and some hikes and all kinds of stuff.
Thanks, Barb.
Thank you. Have a good night, y'all.
Thank you.
Take
All right,
care.
Rita, end of report.
Thanks.
Report.
All right. Back to our regularly scheduled program. We have the treasurer's report. And I don't know if Denise Rosenquist Ann wants to take us through this, or how do you want to proceed here?
If there's any questions from the board, we can certainly answer them. And then we're just asking for acceptance of the treasurer's report for the month of September.
Any questions from anyone?
I have one. I realized today as I was reading this, I have no idea of what the numbers from the home rule attachment or what's the significance of that?
It's
You
a
mean the
running
census?
tally.
Oh,
No.
no.
There's a spreadsheet that's basically a multi-year running tally of
Yes.
monies that we have spent that are for the kinds of projects that are eligible for the home rule infrastructure tax. And it's basically like we're keeping all of our receipts over time to make sure we can justify we've used that tax the way we're supposed to.
I see.
And the reason you see such a negative number is we've had so many more projects than we've spent of the tax receipt, so many more projects than we received money for. So we're totally good. We're totally good.
I got it. I was reading it and I thought, I'm not even sure I don't even know what I'm talking about. You know,
Believe me, I asked longer. Yeah.
thank you.
All right, are there any other questions on it? Otherwise, I guess we're looking for a motion to accept the monthly treasurer's report.
So moved.
Moved by trustee O'Connor,
Second.
seconded by trustee
Second.
Kritzmeyer. Roll call, please.
Trustee O'Connor,
Hi.
trustee Kritzmeyer,
Aye.
trustee Borowski,
Aye.
trustee Michaud,
Aye.
trustee O'Reilly,
Aye.
trustee Tanucci.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Thank you, everyone. We have the village engineers report. And Jeff, I went out and took a picture if you want me to show it too when you get to the part on Stemple.
Go ahead.
So
Put it up there. We'll start there.
let's start where we're at on Stemple, huh? How about this?
You have a nice rolling machine. I was watching that today.
All right, this is the status report on Stemple. Can you see
Nice.
that?
That
Nice.
looks very similar to the photo that the construction resident engineer sent me this afternoon. So yeah, it looks good. They got about half of the first lift of asphalt down on the Stemple lot today. They plan to do the second half tomorrow and follow that right up with the final surface asphalt on Thursday before the forecasted rain sets in. So although we got a lot of rain on Sunday and even yesterday, the contractor spent a lot of time last week rolling, compacting the parking lot stone. So most of the water drained right off of it. In the foreground of that picture there, you see just a little bit of standing water from, the vehicle tires, the trucks that were coming in. That's all, from the surface of the stone moving around as the vehicles turned on it. And Geske, the contractor, was very diligent today. If there's any of those types of areas, they were either drying that, scooping out the water, or using other equipment, blowers and things like that, to make sure that it was dry before they put pavement on there. So that way the parking lot lasts a long time.
Looks good.
Yeah, great picture. The angle of the sun is almost perfect.
I know. I was looking at that.
Well, it was about 6 o'clock, I don't know, maybe 5:45 or something like that on my way home from Lincolnshire. So I've been working in Lincolnshire these days. So. All right, I'll stop
Okay,
sharing.
so-
I'll let you continue.
All right, moving on, the other construction projects, I'll highlight those tonight. North Kruger Road, it was in the engineer's report that the site restoration was planned to be complete last week. Unfortunately, that did not happen because of the rain. Just a different construction operation, and that is yet to be completed. Without going into a bunch of detail, the issue with that was availability of topsoil from the material stockpiles. So that should be done later this week. Unfortunately, I have to add the caveat weather permitting. South Kruger Road, that was resurfaced as part of the joint program between Killdeer and Long Grove. That has the first lift of asphalt on it, and the final asphalt and pavement striping is still scheduled for later this week. Pretty confident that the final asphalt will be on there, but the striping may go into next week, depending on what happens with our autumnal weather here. Let's see, the Robert Parker Coffin pathway, not a lot of activity on that this week that you can see. However, behind the scenes, the contractor is working very hard with getting all of their approvals from IDOT so that they can install that pedestrian crosswalk signal with countdown timers. Let's see, I did follow up with Trustee Tanucci last week. He did ask at the last board meeting what's going on with Route 83 and the pavement patching. Basically, a quarter of it looks different than the rest. And yes, as I somewhat suspected, the pavement supply shortage has moved the completion of the pavement striping into spring of 2022. So just wanted to update the board on that. The other item that I just highlight that's usually not updated on the report is the water treatment plant. Is you may remember earlier this year when the village budget was passed, there was some money in there for preventative maintenance. The next task is load banking the generator. I was talking to Trustee O'Connor, and you know, what is that? And I probably a poor analogy, but you know, think of your any battery in your house like a sump pump in your basement, things like that. You want to make sure that it's properly charged, so that way when you do need it, it kicks on. So those are the highlights of the goings on in the village. Happy to answer any other questions.
Can I ask a question about the additional grading needed for the berm project at the Grove?
Yes.
How extensive is it?
So they've still got a couple thousand yards of material. They gave us another as-built survey that was a little off in some areas. So we brought that to their attention, and to date they have not committed to a schedule to get that completed. So and that was just last week that we brought that to their attention. I'm not going to speak for them, but I'm thinking that the weather had a impact on those operations.
How many dump trucks is a couple thousand cubic feet?
So a dump truck, you know, can handle anywhere from 12 to 15 cubic yards. So about 130 to 150.
Wow. So do we have to threaten them again? It's getting late in the year. It would seem to me that they have to hustle to beat the snow and ice.
Yeah, certainly they would. You know, in the same correspondence from last week, I asked for the landscaping plan as discussed at the last board meeting, and in coordination with the village forester. You know, those things, if planted in 2021, need to happen by December 1st, and the clock is ticking. Other than the calendar keeps moving.
Can we ask either village staff or village attorney to follow up with them again and make sure that they understand the deadline and the consequences if they don't meet it?
Have we done a face-to-face with them? Other than what I saw since I've been here, where the attorney came in and pled their case?
This all started after the pandemic did, so there has not been any face-to-face except for that one meeting.
Do you find any objection if myself and Jeff go out there and talk to their management team, Vic?
No, not at all. Jeff may have had it face-to-face. I know that I have not.
Jeff, I'll
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I'd like to coordinate something. You know, it's been memos and that discussion with the attorney that came in before the board a couple months back when I first got here. I'd like to do a face-to-face.
Certainly.
Can we make that happen?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, I should say I will make the request and hopefully that
Yeah.
is met favorably from their side.
Is the manager a decision maker, or is he gonna, well, it's above my pay grade kind of thing? Do you know from the past?
I believe that N and J are Nick and Jimmy, and Jimmy is the one that, Nick was the one that we were in communications with at the outset.
Oh.
I think it would be fair to say that he was a fairly, I want to say this nicely. He saw things very differently than the village did. I think Jimmy understands the village's point of view, and he's been a little more receptive. Is that a fair statement, Jeff?
Yep, that's fair.
I'd like to, Jeff, I'd like to set up something to go in and have the conversation. And Vic, I'd like to confer with you on my approach on that.
Yeah.
Before I go. This needs to get off of our plates and it needs to get taken care of. Thank you, Jeff.
Any other items on the report that the board wants to discuss, or any other questions? Jeff, you're silent. I take that as a no as well.
I was waiting. I will conclude that and wrap it up with end of report then.
All right. If there's no other questions, we will move to the next item on the agenda, which is the approval of the board meeting minutes from the October 12th, 2021 meeting. Any discussion?
Yeah, there's a sentence in there, and now I lost it on my laptop. Forgive me.
About?
There was a word in there that I didn't understand regarding a discussion. Hold on, let me just get back to where I need to be to pull that up. Forgive me. Sorry. Talk about something else.
Okay, any other comments on the minutes? I mean, the only other one I had was I circled, the board will follow up with the organizers of the upcoming turkey trot to clarify noise ordinances. Is that the action that we took away from that?
Oh, that was because there was that microphone testing at
Yeah.
5:45 in the morning or something, and
Is that the way to put it? I guess it's fine. So
I can't pull up what I need to pull up.
Was it regarding the flag? The question about the flag and who owns it and
No,
who's talking to who?
no, that was just information.
Okay.
I've completely lost my,
well, Trustee O'Connor reported a post on Nextdoor. Yeah, I guess that's the one on the flag, right?
Right.
yeah,
Okay.
there was, can you just help me with what the other stuff is?
Well, you have the village engineer report. And there's not a lot.
Sorry, I feel like an idiot here.
Well, don't feel like an idiot. Village engineer Perry reported that the village manager Jackson had been in contact with Harbor Chase. It's not that. We talked about the elevation of the berm.
Okay, I got it. I got it here. Hold on. Just lost it.
What section is it in?
Okay, board minutes. There, I can do it real quick. If I knew that, I would remember what it was. Public comment, Sergeant Amber. Good Lord, there's more minutes here than that. Well, next time I'll write it down. I can't find it. I apologize. It was just a word. It was something that I didn't quite understand what we were talking about. But if everybody else read them and they're okay, I'm fine.
Okay, so is everyone okay with it? If they are, would somebody like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the
So
October
moved.
12th meeting? Okay, moved by trustee O'Reilly,
Second.
seconded by trustee Micho. That's a roll call. Michelle?
Trustee O'Reilly,
Aye.
trustee Micho,
Aye.
trustee Borowski,
Yes.
trustee Kritzmeyer,
Abstain, I wasn't there.
trustee O'Connor,
Yeah, aye.
and trustee Tanucci.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. There's, I don't believe any reason to go into executive session, so the very next item on the agenda is to adjourn the meeting. Would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So move.
Moved by trustee O'Reilly,
Second.
seconded by trustee Micho. So roll call?
Trustee O'Reilly,
Aye.
trustee Micho,
Aye.
trustee Borowski,
At this time, I would like to read chapter 7 of the novel I'm reading. No, I'm kidding, of course.
trustee Kritzmeyer,
I have a question. No, aye.
Oh, geez.
trustee
I
O'Connor,
love.
Aye.
Too late.
and trustee Tanucci.
Aye.
All right, meeting adjourned. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night.
Have a good
Everybody, be
night.
well.
Everybody.
Bye-bye.